Okay, I think we're live and we are going to wait a couple seconds. Welcome back, everyone. We are going to continue on with chapter 3 of the Ruth Bible study. If you are on, make sure you say hello. Let me know you're here. I love to say hey to you while I am doing the study. So at some point today when you watch this, just let me know you were able to come in and see. So we are getting down to the end of the book of Ruth, and this chapter, chapter 3, it's all about Ruth and Boaz. We're going to see a love story unfolding. We're going to see God's perfect plan for Ruth's life, where she had lost her husband. And from what we learn in chapter 1, we see how God redeems and he restores, and he has the perfect plan for her life. And we're also gonna, I will be doing some inserts, how we can apply that to our own lives in different scenarios, different things that we go through. So if you have your Bible, get it up and let's get on to chapter 3. Hold on, guys, somebody is calling me and I had to decline that call. Sorry. Okay, so let's start with verse 1. So actually we left off chapter 2. In chapter 2, if you remember, Naomi had said to her daughter-in-law, it's not good for you to work with the females, with his male servants. Stay with the female servants so that nothing will happen to you. So I think she was protecting her. She didn't want anybody to talk about her daughter-in-law. So she was trying for her to protect the family name and to make sure that nobody would say anything evil about them. So that's where we left off. Chapter 3, verse 1. Ruth's mother-in-law Naomi said to her, "My daughter, shouldn't I find security for you so that you will be taken care of?" So already Naomi's mind is spinning and she's like, look, we've got to think towards the future here. We've got to find you a husband. Now, isn't Boaz our relative? Haven't you been working with his female servants? This evening he will be winnowing barley on the threshing floor. And let me just explain to you what that is. Hold on, guys. Okay. I keep getting a call from my husband. Let me just explain to you what that means. Winnowing barley on the threshing floor. That means that the harvest season is coming to an end. And let me read you what my insert says here. At the end of the barley harvest in late May or June. So the barley had to be winnowed or tossed into the air with a fork, allowing the wind to carry away the lighter chaff while the heavier grain fell to the ground. So this is something that they did. They did towards the end of the barley harvest. So this is what's getting ready to happen. She was saying this evening, this is what's getting ready to happen. Then she directs her daughter-in-law. She says, wash, put on perfumed oil, and wear your best clothes. So she's trying to play matchmaker here. Naomi is trying to play matchmaker. And she's like, girl, you have been working in the fields. You probably stink. Go take a bath. Go put some perfume on. Go put your best garments on. And go down to the threshing floor. But don't let the man know you are there until he has finished eating and drinking. Why do you think she told Ruth to wait until he had ate? Do we know why she did that? Well, obviously they're happier when food's in their belly. When he lies down, notice the place where he's lying. Go in and uncover his feet and lie down. Then he will explain to you what you should do. So Naomi here instructed Ruth to go to Boaz where he was asleep and uncover his feet. So by this act, this is what it says on the insert on my Bible. By this act, Ruth was inquiring about Boaz, his willingness to fulfill and redeem their family. Verse 5. So Ruth said to her, I will do everything you say. She went down to the threshing floor and did everything her mother-in-law had instructed her. Now remember chapter 2, we learned some characteristics of Ruth. She was a good listener. She listened to instruction that was given to her. And that's a character trait. That's something that we should all take into mind. Like, are we able to take instruction and do what, other people, tell us to do? Obviously, if it's, good advice, always making sure that it's good, godly advice. Somebody tells you go jump off a cliff, you're not going to go jump off a cliff. I mean, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about good, godly advice. So let's keep on going down. So verse 6, she went down to the threshing floor and did everything her mother-in-law had instructed her. After Boaz ate, drank, and was in good spirits, he went to lie down at the end of the pile of barley. Then she went in secretly, uncovered his feet, and lay down. At midnight, verse 8, at midnight, Boaz was startled. Well, duh, he was startled. He didn't know who was there, which, could get weird. He was startled, turned over, and there, lying at his feet, was a woman. So he asked, "Who are you?" So obviously this was something that, he was not expected. It says down here in my inserts in my Bible, it says, Ruth responded to Boaz's question about her identity with a clarification of her purpose. So this is what she said to him, after he asked her, "Who are you?" "I am Ruth, your slave," she replied. "Spread your cloak over me, for you are a family redeemer." So the request also involved a wordplay, since "spread your cloak over me" literally means spread your wing over me. That means that she was inviting Boaz to become the answer to his own prayer. Do you guys remember the prayer that he prayed over her in 2:12 where he blessed her and he says, "May you find refuge under the wings of the Lord"? Okay, we're getting ready to go there. So also I want to talk about verse 9. Okay, no, I'm getting ahead of myself. That was verse 10. Then he said, then here again, he blesses her again. Verse 10, "May the Lord bless you, my daughter. You have shown more kindness now than before, because you have not pursued younger men, whether rich or poor. Now don't be afraid, my daughter. I will do for you whatever you say, since all the people in my town know that you are a woman of noble character." And isn't that nice? Isn't that nice to be known of somebody that has a noble character? Yes, it is true that I am a family redeemer, but there is a redeemer closer than I. So right there we have a problem. So he's letting Ruth know that there's possibly another redeemer that could claim the lands and claim everything that was there. Remember we talked about that, the family redeemers that could claim the inheritance if somebody had passed away. So right here he's saying, ooh, I think there is a closer than I. So then he tells her, "Stay here tonight, and in the morning, if he wants to redeem you, that's good. Let him redeem you. But if he doesn't want to redeem you, as the Lord lives, I will." So he's already letting her know, look, because he didn't want to break the law. I don't want to break the law. We need to do it, we need to do it right. So if this person wants to redeem you, we'll let him. But if he doesn't, then I will. Stay here tonight, and in the morning, if he wants to redeem you, that's good. Let him redeem you. But if he doesn't want to redeem you, as the Lord lives, I will. So now lie down until morning. So he said, now go back to sleep. So she lay down at his feet until morning, but got up while it was still dark. Then Boaz said, "Don't let it be known that a woman came to the threshing floor." So he didn't want her reputation to be tarnished either. So he was making sure that, he was going to do everything that he could so that people wouldn't talk, and people would be like, "Oh my God, well, did you see her? She was at his house all night." God only knows what they did, because you know how people are. People love to talk. People love to make something out of nothing. And verse 15, "And he told Ruth, 'Bring the shawl you're wearing and hold it out.'" So she probably had this huge shawl on. He was like, "Bring that to me." And she brought it out. She spread it out. And he said, when she held it out, he shoveled 6 measures of barley into her shawl, and she went into town. So he didn't let her leave empty-handed either. He filled her up again with more barley. She went to her mother-in-law Naomi, who asked her, "How did it go?" So already Naomi was waiting, and she couldn't wait to hear how it went. She wanted to see how it all went, because she was the one that told Ruth, "Listen, you need to do this. We need to get this, we need to figure out what's going to happen with our future, with your future." And she was trying to, find out, how did it go? Then Ruth told her everything the man had done for her, and she said, "He gave me these 6 measures of barley because he said, 'Don't go back to your mother-in-law empty-handed.'" So not only did he already he has a love for Ruth, but he also wanted to make sure that the mother-in-law was taken care of. "Don't go back to your mother-in-law empty-handed." Naomi said, "My daughter, wait until you find out how things go, for he won't rest unless he resolves this today." So Boaz has some issues to resolve. They have to find out about the other family redeemer. So I'm sure he is in chapter 4. We are going to learn what Boaz does and how he goes and approaches this other family redeemer that could possibly take Ruth and say, "No, I want Ruth, and I want this portion of my land, and this is going to be mine." So we will find out what is going to take place in chapter 4. But let me just go back through my notes and make sure. Oh yes, in the last verse 18, where Naomi said to Ruth, "My daughter, wait until you find out how things go, for he won't rest unless he resolve." Lord, why do we have to go, through the pain and the hurt? And I guess it's okay. It's okay when we have doubts and when we question God, because somewhere later on we will see the beautiful story that God has for our lives. We see him as a redeemer. He redeems what we think are hopes and dreams that are lost and gone, or situations that are out of our control. He redeems our situations. So if I could encourage you and just leave you with this last thought, this last word of encouragement, is to hold fast. Hold fast. He makes all things new, and he works everything according to his perfect time, his perfect will, his perfect purpose for our lives. And I look back through my life. I'm getting ready to turn 35 in July. I look back through the years, and I see certain things that I've had to go through personally, through things, through my marriage, as being a mom, being a daughter, being just a friend. I see all these different situations that I have gone through, and some of them I remember when I was at my lowest point, and thinking, "God, how am I going to get through this? How is this ever going to get any better?" Well, I can encourage you to let you know that it does. At that moment, we think it's the end of the world, but it's not. It's not. God, he has perfect plans for our lives. And I always think of that scripture, that Jeremiah 29:11, he has a perfect plan. His perfect path is laid out before us. It's not always beautiful. It's not always what we had hoped for. It's not always everything that we thought it would be. Sometimes, it stinks and it hurts and it's painful. But he does give us beauty for ashes. He really, really does. And, I just encourage you to think on those good things. Think on who God is. He's sovereign. He renews, he redeems, he restores. Think about that. And if you're struggling with something, give it to him and say, "Lord, please, help me get through this time." And I guarantee you, he has happiness waiting at your next step. So I really hope that you guys are enjoying this Bible study as much as I am, because I love it. Every time I read it, I'm like, "God, you are just so, so good." And we will also see in chapter 4 why this story is so important. And how did this story end up here in the Bible, and why? We will find out the lineage of Ruth and Boaz's son, and who comes from that lineage, which will blow your mind. So I hope that you guys have a great rest of your day, and we will see you next week for chapter 4. Bye-bye.